Esto va a ser en inglés. This one is gonna be in English, and it's because what I'm gonna be talking about is gonna it's related to all of us here in the U.S. And I'll get to the point, obviously, because of time and because I want to get to the point rather than just drifting into all kinds of different uh, thoughts that might get me off track. Here's the deal. I mean, and this is something going on with the or along with other topics that I already brought up in the past, and is is to do with the with our situation vis-a-vis Russia and Ukraine, all of that mumble jumble that is going on out there. Listen, I already said it. I'm going to say it again. We're no longer the good guys. We're not. So those of you who are uh, in the fantasy, making up fantasies en español, siendo los pajas mentales, you know, that we are have the high moral ground like in the Second World War, and we're defending the good guys in Europe, and blah blah, it's our duty, and so on and so forth, blah 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 blah. Look, in a sense, we have a duty of responsibility because we are the leaders of the NATO. I understand that part, but the most important part here is morally, as it's always been. All you have to do is read the Bible. Morality always trumps every other aspect, everything else. Morality. And on that one, we went like this. We're no longer the good guys. Morally, we are the worst in the whole world. Even Europe, for crying out loud, is putting restriction on a lot of things that we are. No, go ahead. Like mutilating the bodies of children for the sake of the homosexual mafia. And I know this video is probably going to be canceled because of I say that. Woo! Hate speech! Anyway, but I got to say it. It's just somebody's got to say it. Never mind YouTube. I'm going to have it written down somewhere as well. So you can just keep trying to, silence. I'm not the only one. You can try to silence all of us, but, the truth is always has a fancy way of getting through no matter what. So you can run, but you can't hide. So that is the truth. In fact, want me to use another language? I can use another language. In fact, it is a biblical language, which is the correct one. It is not homosexuality. It is sodomy. Let me just call it what it is, sodomy. We have become the sodomist #1 country in the world by all measures. And that's just an example. Abortion, the same thing. #1 worse. Even China, for crying out loud, already stopped. Of course, they're doing it for all the diabolical interests because that's a totally godless government, the satanic government, but still they are doing it. They're putting restrictions, the abortion. They already canceled the one-child policy because they know that they're killing their future. And they need more slaves for their own program, the communists, the CCCP in China. However, they're doing it. And what are we doing? Promoting the mass murder of babies in the womb. I call it what it is. And more than any other country. Even, like I say, even liberal countries in Europe that used to be with us are saying, no, that's too far. And they're putting restrictions on the late-term abortions. But not us, especially with this bozo in the White House, the one who stole the elections. It's gotten so much worse. And now because of the end of Roe versus Wade, thank God for that. Now they're even double down, triple down, quadruple down on their evil. It's getting worse. So what do you think? We do no longer have, we lost that a long time ago, the moral high ground. We're no longer the moral leaders of the world. No longer by any stretch. We still have money. We still have military power. But how long do you think that's going to last without having the moral leadership? How long do you think that's going to read the Bible? How long did it? Hitler, the Nazis were the most powerful. It wasn't us. It wasn't England. It wasn't France. The Nazis were the most powerful country in the 30s. The most powerful nation was Germany. I mean, Hitler took it from almost third world to the top of the top of the top. Look how well it ended up with him and Germany in 1945. All you got to do is see the pictures. See what I'm saying? Of course, I mean, the mechanics behind it, it could be anything. I mean, in this case, obviously, the whole world, all the other powers of the world won against Hitler, including the one that was first for him, that Russia, and then eventually because of what he did. But it's because Hitler was a moron. He didn't have the brains to act diplomatically, strategically in that regard because of his hate and his fantasies. But the fact of the matter is that they had the military was the best, to the point that our military now, all the fancy toys that we have in our military, guess where they came from originally? To this day, by the way, Germany's growing again. Watch out, Germany's growing again. Germany came from Germany. The jets, airplane jets, a lot of the techniques in the tanks. I mean, tanks, the modern tanks, Germany. ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, or missiles for that matter. Germany under Nazi, by the way, under the Nazis. All of those toys, military weapons came from Nazi Germany. So they were on the top of the top. How come they lost the war? Well, other than because of Hitler was nuts. But they lost it because they did not have the moral leadership. They had the economic leadership, no question about it. They had the military and scientific and technological leadership without any doubt. Anyone with objective reality, in their mind with brains, with two fingers of brains on their head, will acknowledge that. And historians and any analysts will tell you that. And yet, why did they lose? Because they lacked the moral high ground. Same thing, look at history. Same thing happens to the Egyptians, and the Pharaoh, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Romans, obviously the Greeks, Macedonian, whatever, the so-called Alexander the Great. But anyway, I mean, all those people, all those evil people in the past, the Brits, even the Spaniards, for crying out loud, all this great, wonderful military. They were wonderful in military, especially in that area, and then economically, they were wonderful, powerful. They built empires that spanned hundreds of millions of miles, or what have you. And yet, who are they now, for the most part? There's still quite a few here and there, but so the same thing is going to happen to the Chinese. Of course, China has even worse. Officially, they are essentially an anti-God dictatorship, and they oppress their citizens just like the normal traditional tyrants. But so are we right now. We no longer have the moral high ground, supporting just on those two evils, the mass murder of babies in the wombs and sodomy. We lost the moral high ground. So as they say, when I grew up, Marquita, Marquita, que te lo da, te lo quita. You know? So who gave it to you? Who gave to you that power? The Lord said, even a Pilate, when he was during his passion with Pilate, asked, hey, don't you realize that I have the power to let you go or kill you? And what was the answer of our Lord? You have no power except for the one that I was given to you by above. In other words, by me, is God. you know, so the same thing. I mean, the power that we have and all these other great empires of the past and all these wonderful, superpower, the power they have came from God. And it was taken away from them because they went in the opposite direction. They lost the moral high ground, if they ever had one to begin with. So the point is, same thing is, okay, well, who do they think out there? I mean, the ones in power right now in Washington, and all these liberals from both parties, the liberals on both parties, by the way, but especially the demonic cracked party. Who do you think they are? They're gonna break the rules for the first time in history ever. A superpower that lost the moral high ground is gonna get away with it. I don't care how fancy your military toys and what have your economy, all of that's gonna come crumbling down just like it did with all those evil empires in the past. And yes, that's what we are. We're no longer the good guys. We're evil empire. In fact, statistically, like I told you, we're one of the worst. Probably China is a little bit ahead of us in evil. But we are there. I mean, no question about it. The only difference, in fact, between the Chinese and us is that we still have at least some freedom. For example, the one that I'm just exercising right now to be able to, and the fact that this is probably going to get canceled by YouTube if anything shows that what I'm telling you is the truth. So, what am I going with all this? Right now, what motivated me to make this video is I saw it in the news right there. Germany and the U.S. sending tanks. Those are the best tanks are from the U.S. and Germany. Actually, Germany, like I told you, they always do the best. So, but are sending tanks to Ukraine. Those are the best tanks in the world. That's going to kill a lot of Ruskies, a lot of Russians. Again, I keep saying it. Stop, Mr. Freaking idiot Brandon. Stop poking the freaking bear. We all of us are going to pay the consequences of your stupidity. And I don't blame Germany, Poland, and all these European countries because they have already been victim of the Russians in the past, and they know. I mean, and let's face it. I mean, Putin, even though for the most part, I think he has a much higher moral ground than we do, obviously. But at the same time, he's an imperialist. So he's going to do what all imperialists, Napoleon, Stalin and Hitler and all of that did in the past. And it's going to attack, if he gets away with that one, it's going to probably continue, So I understand that. And I understand that we, because of our military agreement with them, economic agreement with NATO being obviously the leader of NATO's, I mean, we have a responsibility to our allies and so on and so forth. Having said that, unlike the Europeans, we have zero interest, really, historically. Politically, there's no territory whatsoever, U.S. territory there at all. We have zero interest of getting in there and getting, in trouble by poking the freaking bear that eventually is going to attack. How long do you think it's going to take? In case you forgot, Mr. Brandon, Putin and the Russians have those little things called ICBMs, and they probably, for what I heard, they are the fastest. And they got lots of them, lots of warheads. How long do you think it's going to take? Unlike Hitler, that didn't have them. These folks do have them. And we are provoking them big time by saying this. We didn't have to send those tanks, but we are doing it. It just came up in the news today. Friends, while I was growing up, I learned 1 + 1 = 2, not 3. So it's common sense. We keep doing this. Add to this what I just told you about we having lost the moral high ground a long time ago. I can go on and on with that, but abortion and the sodomy institutionalized sodomy. Those two alone, pss, all you need, all the evidence you need. But it's a whole lot more than that. Um, those two we lost the moral high ground, and we are messing with the wrong crowd. And that was the same thing that destroyed Hitler and many others like him in the past. We're doing it. We no longer have the moral grounds, and we're messing with the bird. Estamos cucando al oso, cucando a los osos. So how long do you think before that is going to come back to haunt us big time? All of us. All of us. That's why I'm saying it. If it were only Washington, like in the Vietnam War also, it was. But you see, unlike in Europe, in the Pacific, we have territorial interests. Hawaii, Alaska, and many of the islands, Guam. So we have territorial interests in the Pacific, and Vietnam was part of it. And so we have more of a reason to be there. Like some people would say, "Oh, what about Vietnam?" Like I had a friend not too long ago telling me that. But not that I agree. It was the way we handled it was just like the same thing with Iraq. Which, by the way, we have more interest in Iraq than in Europe, for crying out loud. But economic interest anyway. But at any rate, but no, I mean, we have zero to gain by supporting Ukraine, which is a freaking corrupt regime. They're not saints. This freaking clown, whatever Zelensky, whatever his name is, he ain't Churchill. He came here trying to pretend to make it look like he's Churchill in the Second World War. No, he ain't. And we're no longer the same USA of the prior to the Second World War. We're no longer that country. We became something else. And that's exactly my point. We no longer have the moral high ground. We are as evil, if not worse, than Hitler's and the Nazis were in the Second World War and the Russians under Stalin, which, by the way, was even more evil than Hitler, but that's a different topic. But at any rate, we are already there. The only difference is that because of the constitutional thing going on and, a tradition, there's still a little bit of freedom for people like me to actually express myself. I know this is very likely is going to get canceled just to make my point. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I'm going to hear someone. Oh, I think I'm not going to hear anyone knocking on my door and taking me to jail before saying this. Like you would if you were in China, if I were in China and the worst war North Korea would be no time. But at any rate, it's coming. It's just around the corner. We're no longer the good guys. Anyway, that's the purpose of this video. Also, it's just to remind you at the end of the day, all that matters is that one out there. See it? That's the one. That's it. That's our only hope. No government, no Trump, no so-called Republicans, Democrats are about the same thing, but nobody, no. Jesus. Focus on him. Pray a lot and get your you-know-what to church. Receive the sacrament. Because things are going to get really, really, really scummy going forward. Really bad. Pretty soon. God help us all. God take care of all of us. And God help us. I guess that's all I have to say. God bless. We'll talk to you later.